In this video, I've set myself the challenge of getting to a strategy within an hour. Is it possible to get to a strategy in 1 hour? With no prior history of the brand, could I come up with a full strategy that you would actually present to a client? So I'm up for the challenge. So I just went and Googled Series B funding and I found this brand Eucalyptus, and they've just got funding, so I assumed they would probably need help with branding. Now, let's see if we can do a marketing strategy in under an hour. Just a heads up, this video is based on a lot of the frameworks and methods that I teach in the Strategy Finishing School course. So first thing I do is I've set the timer for 55 minutes. So I have 5 minutes at the end just to polish up the deck. So I put on a timer for 55 minutes. And I'm going to show you how I would go about creating that. I start with a strategy on a page framework. It's always important to start at your endpoint, not just random research. Know what you're trying to fill out. I start with the first article about the funding, which actually has a lot of great information about the company and the problem they're trying to fix. I'm tagging the important content with problems, features, benefits, and business goals. I realize that they have multiple brands and choose the one problem that I read, which is mental health. As the other brands have all got names, I give this one a name, which is Mate. I refine the business goal because I know that they've had 4 brands and 200,000 signups. So a good launch for this brand would be 50,000 is my kind of guesstimate. With the information at hand, I fill out the strategy on a page. Assumptions are a good thing to start with in strategy. You always want to fill something out and then try to constantly beat it or disprove it. This rough draft at least helps focus my brain and not get overwhelmed. I'm having a quick look at the other brands. This helps to get a tone of voice for the brands and see the similarities between the brands. Now, going into the problem, which is mental health treatment, and seeing what the category is currently doing. So bring myself back to the most important part of your strategy, the consumer problem. I bold it and I'm focusing on that one again. I find my first line that I think is a really good insight. It's rural stoicism can be harmful. The reason this line works as an insight is because it flips the common associations we have with a word. Stoicism is usually seen as a good thing. In here, we're seeing it nudged up against a negative, being harmful. I don't know if I'm going to use this because the rural community actually feels quite small, but I love the line and insight, so I keep it. I'm now just trying to write out as many consumer problems as I can. I have no idea how I'm going to choose one with not much time to go. This is great. Someone has done a survey on it already for me, so this answers my questions. I'm just going to go with the first response here. I land on the biggest problem, being that they are concerned about the opinions of neighbours about going to therapy. Like a good strategist who doesn't want to just go off their hunches, I write down my quant survey questions I would do after my hour. I break the group into those who have gone to therapy and find out about their experiences, and then those who identify as having a mental illness or a mental health problem, but have not gone to therapy yet, and I want to understand why they haven't. Now I need to work out what the insight is going to be. I've pushed myself into a little bit of a tight corner here with the time frame. I do my trusty exercise that I teach in the strategy finishing school to get to insights. You can see here I'm backflipping the problem and the solutions, and I connect the dots around the phone, as that is where people care about what others think of them with social media, but it's also the solution Eucalyptus is offering. This is the piece where being experienced as a strategist really comes into play. I've gone right in on social media being the problem. I felt confident that for this target demo, based on the other products and what I've read in the past, that the mobile phone has this dual power. It made it easy for me to jump to this decision. I'm just trying to polish the insight now, how I can bring in the polar opposites of the statement, give it as much tension as possible. I'm working around the opposites of anxiety and calmness. Writing out my caveats for what I would change. And again, I'm just trying to make it as short as possible, constantly trying to cut out as many words as possible. And this is what we ended up with. Launch the new mental health brand, Mate. The next steps: presenting the first draft of the strategy on a page with the following next steps. We want to then investigate the consumer problem by conducting interviews with the audience on why they haven't used mental health services in the past, so you can see below. Then I want to do 3 more strategies on a page with either the same problem, if validated, with different insights or with different problem statements. So the strategy on a page. The business problem is Mate is an unknown brand in the mental health space. The consumer problem is concerned about the opinions of others. The insight is our phones give us anxiety about what others think. Telehealth gives us calmness and turns our phones onto silent. The single-minded proposition is, Mate, the telehealth turns your phone from screaming voices to a voice of reason. The consumer goal is to get my first consultation with no worries, and the business goal is to deliver 50,000 new Australian customers in 2022. The caveat with the strategy on a page is that I made the leap here with social media use being the biggest issue. Well, I think we reached it. We did it in 60 minutes. I hope you found that helpful, and I might do a couple more of these if you find them useful.